Hi guys, welcome to the Real Football Talk. I have Adi with me today. Adi, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Another brilliant week of Premier League action.
Yeah, lots
The
of good action.
whole picture has changed now all of a sudden again.
Well, yeah, depending on which perspective, but yeah,
But in every facet, if you look at like the top two, even in the middle, you got the top four race, and at the bottom as well. You know, the bottom two winning. Uh, very interesting week. So let's start. Where do we start? Let's start with the top table, well, the biggest game of the weekend: Man City versus Spurs. Antonio Conte getting one over Pep Guardiola. What did you make of that game? I mean, what a game to watch! I mean, Harry Kane was phenomenal.
yeah. Spurs were excellent. I thought they got their tactics spot on. They changed their system to a 5-4-1, and they were really brave on the counter attack. So I think, yeah, it caught City by surprise. I mean, when you look at all the goals and chances Spurs created, they're really well crafted goals. You know, set moves. You can tell everyone knew what they had to do, and a lot of the times they outnumbered City in those attacks. It wasn't like, you know, we've seen City when we say, oh, City conceding goals on the counter attack, it's normally the type where, you know, it's a fast break and two or three guys break quickly and then one person gets sent through. It wasn't like that. It was five guys breaking on City's back four. Do you get it? It was with numbers, with loads of opportunities to keep, you know, loads of different options.
I mean, they had loads of chance. Even after the first goal, you think, you know, that's a warning sign. Surely Man City needs to adjust, but City had Spurs had loads of opportunities to actually, you know,
yeah. And if
the game
if you look at the chances City created, other than Gundogan hitting the post, he had one other good shot where he tried bending around, which are both long range shots. They didn't actually create anything. I mean, you look at the first goal comes from a fumble from Lloris, the second one a penalty. So, you know, for all the possession City had, they actually didn't really create anything. And I thought Spurs were very good tactically in how they played against this false nine system.
Lloris, what do you make of him? You see, like two weeks, two mistakes last week, another big one this week. Obviously, it didn't cost him this week, but it seems to be like a reoccurring thing. Is there a problem there that needs to be looked at?
Well,
captain, and I mean,
under Nuno Espirito Santo, he was playing poor, and then when Conte came in, he had a couple of really good games. Standout games actually, where you know, the opposition team couldn't score past him, and it was like the old Lloris in his prime. And now it's slowly getting back to that mode where, but he's still, you know, pulling off good saves as well. But there's mistakes there in terms of the handling. Yeah.
In terms of the other Harry Kane, I mean, City were tightening the ball.
Totally unplayable.
I
mean,
he played that false nine.
He played Pep's system perfectly against Pep. Do you get it? He showed Foden and all of them how it's really done. Really, you know, I mean, let's be honest. Diaz was afraid to go close to him, and Laporte, every time he tried going in on him, just got embarrassed. I mean, it's one of the most dominating performances by a single player this season, in my personal opinion. I mean, he completely was destroying the two centre backs and Rodri. The other thing was he was playing with Rodri, and, you know, people don't pick it out much, but Rodri had an absolutely terrible game. It was really lazy for some reason. He had one of those games like we say about Fred, you know, doesn't know whether he's a defensive midfielder or playmaker. He's trying to get involved in the attack too much. and then his tracking back was terrible. If you look at all the chances Spurs had, Rodri's nowhere in the picture. He's slumbering. You know,
Do you think that's because
you got Betancourt, you got
yeah.
Højbjerg, you got because what Spurs did really good was when they broke, even the central midfielder broke. So they played 5-4-1. 3 of the midfielders broke with Harry Kane. Yeah, so you got 3 of the midfielders break with Harry Kane, plus at least one of the wing backs. So then it always looked like a 5-on-4 or a 6-on-5 if both wing backs are pulling forward. So what's happened is, and if you look at Harry Kane's first goal, who picks up the ball, the clearance from the header, it's Sessegnon. Rodri is nowhere to be seen. That's normally in that defensive mid position. You're expecting Rodri to sweep up, but he had a really, really lazy game. And we always praise City about how quickly they sprint back into positions and sprint back. That did not happen yesterday.
Do you think that was also down to maybe because they're over dominating against Spurs? They kind of depend. They just thought they're going to win the ball back high up and didn't really track back as much.
I just think they were in shock because no one's done counter-attacking like that, where, you know, when United or Liverpool, they counter-attack, it's like with 3, the front 3 only, and it's, you know, and it's one guy down the side squaring it and then someone doing it. So it's things like that. But here, they're counter-attacking with 5 players, the wing-backs, the 3 midfielders, plus Harry Kane. So I don't think City I've not seen a team do it like that in terms of have so many numbers that completely outnumber the whole back line. And they're doing it so quick, and that, you know, Gundogan and Rodri just weren't getting back in time. So
you know, the other thing that surprised me, I didn't see much of an adjustment from Pep. I mean, obviously they dominate, but surely you've got to, you know, sometimes you've got to see and you've got to respect it a bit and, you know, kind of play that game and make that adjustment, cover it. I know he played Walker more like a centre back for his pace and stuff, but even then, just one guy.
Well, what is, when you actually look at their bench, it wasn't that strong. Their bench wasn't actually that strong. They never had that many experienced options. Jesus is injured. You know, I think Grealish is injured still. So they actually never had that much firepower on the bench. They had a lot of the young players. So I think that was a factor. You know, Zinchenko, they're not going to change the game for you. You know, Mahrez was the only player they had. And the thing is, he made a difference when he came on.
Right, yeah.
And I thought even in the first half, the amount of times Foden or Bernardo Silva could have attacked Sessegnon, and they just didn't. They just kept coming in, passing it. And as soon as Mahrez came on, what happened? He takes Sessegnon on, takes Davis onto the wing. You know, straight away he's brought Doherty on. You know, he's made the change, Conte, because he's realized that Mahrez is turning Sessegnon inside out and creating havoc straight away. So, yeah, the only big player he had to change it was Mahrez, but he still left it very late.
I mean, in terms of like in the defensive area to counteract, maybe, I don't know, bringing on a Fernandinho because Rodri is having a full game to just show that up and, you know.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm saying he had a poor game. That doesn't mean that's what Pep sees it as. You get it? Because obviously they still dominate possession. They had a lot of the ball. But in those counter-attacking situations, unusually, City weren't set up for it. You know, Rodri wasn't positionally great, didn't track back quick enough. And I have to mention Kulusevski was the difference maker in the whole system, because he literally man-marked Cancelo the whole game.
Yeah.
So and I felt it was a definite ploy of Conte to use the you know, the wingers to pick up the fullbacks because, Song picking up Bernardo Silva, Foden, he's definitely making sure that it was the player with, right foot against the left winger, right-footed midfielder against the left winger, a left-footed midfielder against the winger, so that makes it easier for them to cut out the cutting across the pitch. So then Betancourt and Højbjerg can focus on all the runs of the midfielders on De Bruyne, on Gundogan. So I thought tactically it was very good, and obviously they had that outball all the time in Kulusevski and Kane, because Cancelo just doesn't track back.
First big game he was, for Kulusevski, and goal and an assist. Great performance from him.
Yeah, and he ran his socks off, and I thought the pundits at halftime were really harsh, saying he looks a bit suspect in defense. The shift he put in that first half was crazy, and and he done a really good job. And the second half, he actually dominated Cancelo. And Cancelo really struggled to influence the game. But it tells you, when we talk about a team man marking opposition player, you'll never hear of a team having to man mark the left back. But that's how influential Cancelo is. Like, once Mahrez came on, there's only two players that actually played with a freedom that no one knows what they're going to do, and that's Cancelo and Mahrez. Every other player is just playing the system and playing it excellently. But when you got a well-drilled team, like I said, you can stop the system. Yeah. You need those creative players that kind of don't stick to the system all the time. So Grealish not playing probably didn't help with them.
In terms of the title race, would you put this down to maybe just getting a bit complacent, or is the title race just right back on?
Well, you can't say I think title race is on, but I still think it's a bit of a far-fetched to get excited. Liverpool have to win that game to make it 3 points, and then it'll be a bit more nervous. But the exciting thing is, in the next month, everyone seems to be playing each other. All the big, everyone's got toughest fixtures. Out of their 6-game runs, they at least got 2 or 3 of the big boys there. So everyone's playing each other. It's definitely going to feel like if there is 3 points in it, it's going to feel like every game's a 6-pointer against the big teams. So I hope it doesn't go the other way, because since December, the big games have been exciting, end to end. Both teams going. I hope it doesn't go the other way, and it starts becoming stale, tactical board draws, and teams being afraid to.
Liverpool will have to go for it, right? Because they want to get that.
I don't think they. I think they just need to carry on plodding away. Why change anything? Their system, the way they're playing, works. Why put any extra pressure or change your mindset? They don't need to. We're assuming that City are going to win every one of their games, and we're assuming Liverpool are going to win every one of their games. And like I said, we said it last few weeks, I just don't think the Premiership is like that anymore. Even though City has been kind of running away with it, even at that time I said they will drop points, because the strength of the league is just too good. And once Europe gets into the picture, can you imagine playing a Tottenham and an Arsenal team that are in Europe at the moment? Or even playing Aston Villa team or Southampton team. These teams are all got good young coaches. They're brave. They're not afraid of the big boys anymore. They don't respect them. If anything, they play better against the big teams. They turn up against the big teams because their managers are used to the big stage. So they know how to get their players geared up for it and ready for it and not be afraid. They struggle more against the mediocre mid-table team to get the performances and the results, as this weekend's results prove. So I think all the teams are going to still drop points. It's going to be exciting. Still think a long way to go.
It's it reminds me a bit of like last year and stuff where it's like, oh, the picture keeps changing and so on and so forth. I think it's last year or the year before. The picture keeps changing. Like, oh, you know what, this team, and then you think, oh no, it's the other team. No, it's the same here, but you got three different races going on. It's just, oh man, Premier League is just amazing. But let's talk about the other contenders. Liverpool, 3-1 win, comfortable, would you say? It didn't seem like at one point.
Definitely wasn't comfortable for 60 minutes. I mean, Norwich really did, make it difficult for Liverpool, and Liverpool really struggled to create momentum and pressure. I mean, they resort to doing a lot of crosses from Tsimikas and trying to build pressure through second balls. But in terms of other than the ball going to Salah, and he was on fire. I mean, he gave Williams absolute roasting. He absolutely taught him levels. He had him on on toast the whole game. So when the ball got to Salah, then yes, something magic looked like it was happening all the time. But outside of that, they really struggled until they made the changes, until they got Origi and everyone on, and they put, they effectively go, 4-2-4 and just pile on loads of numbers. And it got, they kind of went to Diaz playing as in a striker role alongside Origi, and it made a huge difference.
I mean, great assist by Alisson.
I mean, it was a game of assists, really, because I thought Tsimikas' cross was okay, but can't diss the finish of Mane. It's still a great finish.
Yeah.
But if you look at Alisson and Henderson's assists for the goal, they're both great assists. And when you look at the goals, that's where you see why Norwich are where they are, why they always end up disappointing you, because they played well and they try hard and they do a lot of things well, but the goals are just so sloppy. You look at the first one, Sargent doesn't decide to follow Tsimikas. It's just an overlap and a cross, and next thing and then also the fact that the way, and you look at most of the goals Norwich concede, it's always because of Max Aarons. Max Aarons makes mistakes every game. So the way he drops off deep and keeps everyone on side for Mane to do the overhead kick, it's just, like fullbacks going that deep and behind the centre backs is, as you know, is something I hate. And Max Aarons done it there for the third goal. Luis's goal, Williams does the same thing, where he's behind the centre backs and keeping Luis on. So, and even for Alisson's goal, he looked up and had the ball in his hand for so long. Now, we all know, even from grassroots football, what's the first thing that we would say when the keeper has the ball from his hands?
Drop yards, innit?
Drop yards, because he can hit it in. You look at the whole back four, they literally barely move a yard. And they have literally 5-6 seconds to react off the fact that Alisson's got the ball, come to the edge, looked around, and then decided to flying kick it to get it. But the thing is, they don't react one bit. So it's like the defense doesn't even understand the difference between a goalkeeper kicking the ball from the floor, ground, and kicking it off their hand. Obviously, off their hand, it's going to go a lot further.
Do you reckon maybe the occasion got too big for them?
Sorry?
The occasion got too big for them. 1-0 or 1-1 at Anfield. Like, the pressure is too much for them.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, Liverpool, turned up the heat and Norwich put a lot of effort in up to that point. I just think, the change when you make changes and then get a goal straight away, that just invigorates the whole place, and then suddenly the opposition team feels like, oh, here we go, So yeah,
first Premier League goal.
Valiant effort from Norwich.
Yeah,
but the old Achilles heel.
But that's been their problem every time they come up, isn't it? Giving away silly, stupid goals. In terms of relegation, you would say Norwich pretty much done. I don't really see a way of them, them getting.
I like the fact that they're making a fight of it. Then
much better than previous years. Much better than previous years.
So, and they are pulling out the odd surprising result, but yeah, to imagine them getting enough of those results, it would be hard. But at least they're making a fist of it.
Let's focus now on the top four race. Let's start with Arsenal. 2-1 against Burnley. Bit of a revenge after the battering at home. What did you make of them?
Yeah, not against Burnley.
Oh, sorry, Brentford. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought they were. They're the better team. They're the stronger team. They struggle to create clear-cut chances. We've said that for a long time. Some of the old habits, harassing the referee and trying to get decisions of a referee and all that still came back. But ultimately, they got the job done and they deserved it. Thought they're the better team. Saka again, the standout performer, played excellent, scored an excellent goal.
Smith Rowe coming in again, getting that's it. I think his 10th goal or something. Solid return,
Yeah, Smith Rowe scored a good goal, and and they showed what they've shown all season, which is when they play, when they attack, when they do their football, they look like a good team. The moment they start going tactical, Brentford dominated, and suddenly it looked like they could get something out of the game. And I thought at that moment when Brentford were piling under pressure, Gabriel was crucial. I thought Gabriel was really good at that moment. He really stepped up big, stepping in, winning tackles, getting physical, reading things. He really showed that, it's real leadership qualities at that moment. But yeah, I don't really like it when they start sitting off, because they always seem to concede.
One thing I don't know why I really like Saka coming from the left, as in the left hand side, because I think he gives his game a different dimension, because he could just take it out and hit it. Because when he comes from the right, it's like, he's gonna try coming back in, and then like two players on him and so on. So where he's in the left, he just gets it out and bam, like the goal we see.
He's more comfortable. You can tell he's more comfortable. It's more natural for him, and yeah, I prefer it too. But what I've realized, and this seems like the main reason why all the big teams are doing it now, is they put in wingers with playing on the opposite foot on the other side. It's because then it's really hard to step in and press, and you've got an easy out ball all the time. And if you look at take it back to the City Spurs game, it was so easy for the Spurs players to keep playing it outside of Kulusevski back towards goal, and because he's left-footed, there is actually it is impossible for the fullback to step in on that. Because if you go to the outside, you're practically off the pitch, and you've given the winger free run at your centre back. So it seems like that's the tactical innovation that all these big teams are doing, is because it's one of the best ways to counter-attack the press. It's because it's impossible to press those wingers if you get it. So, yeah, I think it's just necessity. It seems like, and it makes perfect sense.
Do you know what the other thing is? Like, we missed just like big moments, big chances, and I obviously it didn't cost in this game, but in other games, those moments will cost you, especially if you're trying to go for top four.
Well, I think away from home, yeah,
Especially, yeah,
away from home, that could be a problem. I think at home, you always feel like Arsenal will create enough pressure to, kind of. You always feel like they're trying to bundle the ball in rather than through real slick play. Especially the first goal. Obviously, after that, once the confidence is going, then you see the slick goals, the slick football. I thought, yeah, Smith Rowe's goal was excellent. Really good goal. So
it seems a bit off base, but yeah. Big game against Wolves next at home.
Yeah, because Wolves have 2 games in hand as well. So
yeah, no, Wolves played 2024, 2 games on hand against United. Yeah.
Yeah, so they could go level on points, and obviously, yeah, they're a real tough team to break down at the moment.
United, since we're talking about United, let's jump to United. 4-2 win away at Leeds. Good win.
Oh, excellent win. I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. It's a heated rivalry.
Yeah.
The weather was torrential rain. I mean, I can't remember the last time I see a Premier League game where the water was affecting the game in that, and like that's halfway through that first half. It was a real struggle. Beginning of that second half,
yeah,
it was a real struggle just to pass the ball. The ball was just stopping, puddles of water everywhere. That's how much rain had fallen down, and yeah, visibly affecting the game. But it also made it a real physical game. Tackles were flying in. It was a proper old school Premier League match.
What do you make of the fact that United went 2-0 up and then like dropping the lead within 2, like obviously?
Well, it's the exact same thing that, I mean, just because they ended up, getting back and winning the game, you can't hide from the fact that we've said it plenty of times, and this is just another evidence of it, where this team lacks characters and mentality. Every half time they go into a lead, they come on. You see the way they stroll out in the second half, you can just tell the attitude is the game is won. And I'm so glad Rangnick took off Pogba, because Pogba was a joke. It's like he was sulking because the pitch was so wet and he was struggling to move. And and the strangest thing is, in the first half, Pogba was the best player on the pitch. I mean, he was causing all sorts of problems. He was the main creative force behind a lot of what United were doing. Not necessarily for the goals, but in terms of winning the battle, because Leeds started fast and then United grew into the game. And part of that was Pogba really dominating that midfield battle, turning his man, being able to take the ball back towards goal. So, yeah, I thought he was one of the key reasons why United ended up dominating that half and creating and those chances. So then to see a complete contrast in the second half, where you can tell he doesn't want to be on the pitch. He's literally sulking, moaning on the pitch, barely moving. And then you got, McTominay got carried away again. He's bumming forward. That every time United broke at the beginning of that second half, there was no midfield. Every midfielder was sprinting forward.
Do you think they're just still goals because of the way Leeds are? Do you think because of the way Leeds are, they're just thinking, easy chance of getting another goal and so on and so forth?
But they do this whether it's Southampton, whether it's Aston Villa, whether it's Burnley. It's the same thing, isn't it? They have a flaw in their mindset where they think the game is won, and they stop competing. The focus is gone, and they kind of go to this attitude of just leave it all on the back four to defend, while everyone else's focus is on bombing forward and attacking.
Yeah.
And it was exactly the same thing. And the thing was, Fortuna's first goal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Fortuna's first goal.
But
the second one, would you say it's a free kick on Fernandes? Because I mean, I just think he made a big deal out of it. Didn't protect the ball.
No, for me, never a free kick. Again, and that's the thing. That's the arrogance of this United team. Anyone who knows they get impressed will look to protect the ball.
Yeah.
Or what else? If you don't think you can protect the ball, what do you clear it? No, he will try to win a foul.
Yo, typical Fernandes.
It's just not engaged in the game at that moment. Yeah. Even you look at the tackle that went into Sancho, the guy, he's not ready for it. And you got, I don't know if it's Dallas or Ailing, just 2-footed, boom, sliding in.
Yeah.
Straight in. This is after what are you expecting? These have just got a goal back out of nothing, a miracle goal. The stadium is buzzing. What are you expecting?
Yeah, they're going to be on it. They press, they're hound.
So those are the things. So, I commend Rangnick for this victory because the key moment was taking Pogba off for Fred. Because it just changed the whole dynamics of the whole team. And obviously they changed the formation around. They went more to the actual Rangnick formation of 4-2-2-2, which made a huge difference in forcing the back line of Leeds to actually pick up someone and defend. And we know they're very reckless. And yeah, Leeds are similar to United in the sense that they're a reckless team. And maybe if it was like we saw against Burnley and Southampton, Aston Villa, if it was a team that's got a bit more structure and a less gun-ho attitude, that would have been another draw. But Leeds are probably the only team that get carried away more than United when they get a few goals. So
I mean, one thing about Leeds,
they gave it back to United.
Entertainment, isn't it? Good finish from Fred, though. Even though keeper should have probably done better near post, but
I thought it's okay finish. I mean, it's poor keeping.
Yeah, Millie's been a problem we know, isn't it?
But he's getting linked with all the big clubs just because he's how comfortable he is with the ball at his feet. Yeah. But I don't think he's that great anyway with the ball at his feet. Whenever I watched him, he's not that great. But that's the problem with stats. Stats always show up good.
Do you think Leeds could have a problem in terms of, I mean, they 23 points. There's a lot of teams just right around them.
Well, the problem is everyone else is picking up points.
Yeah.
And no one else is going without a fight. And you got to remember last season, Leeds did not improve. We all thought, yeah, they're going to suddenly sort themselves out. And they just did not improve. And the only reason they weren't in a relegation scrap was because everyone else was so poor and they weren't picking up enough points.
Even at the beginning of the season, I remember we saying like Leeds did adjust a bit more. They weren't as gun-ho, but it seems like they've gone back to the old style again.
I think when the pressure's on, Bielsa reverts back to type. He's a competitive figure. He likes to be aggressive on the front foot. When the pressure's on, his reaction is, let's play our way out of trouble. Let's be aggressive. Let's be brave. I commend that. I prefer that than, losing confidence and being all out defensive and losing games. So I think because of that attitude, they're going to end up getting enough points. I mean, for them, the biggest problem is they never got a backup for Bamford. And thing is, when your number 9 is so integral to the way you play, and if Bamford is in sync with the Bielsa system, now playing Rodrigo or Gelhardt or anyone else, Daniel James, it doesn't work because the Bielsa system is he likes a focal point. He likes someone who can link up the play.
Do you think they should have invested in someone in the January transfer? Because obviously this injury of Bamford just keeps going on and on. Isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, I mean the signings haven't been.
Might end up
You look
costing
at
them.
the signings this season haven't had any impact.
No.
Purple looks an absolute joke. I mean, today, I mean, it's a bit harsh to judge in the sense that he's coming back from an injury, but there's no way you can sprint forward and then not be able to track back when it comes to, you know, Sancho's assist and, you know, quite a couple of the goals. He's just so lazy. So I don't think their signings have made the impact they would have liked. It's not a happy camp. And you got to remember the other thing is they're missing Phillips, their club captain Cooper, and Bamford. Yeah. And if you think about, that's probably 3 of their 4 most important players and best players, because Rafinha is the only big hitter still, you know, alive and kicking at the moment. Yeah. The rest are injured, and they're huge players. So when they come back, it'll be a lift.
They've got. I mean, they got enough to probably ride the storm.
It depends. Like I said, if the other teams pick up points,
yeah, the pressure
very soon before these players come back, the pressure will be different. Right now, they can play this gun-ho style, and they'll probably pick up enough points playing this style because they'll come up against teams that will retreat. But
they got Liverpool next.
So yeah, you definitely don't want to go gun-ho against Liverpool.
That's another big one.
Something tells me that might be a high-scoring game like today.
I hope so.
Because Liverpool's defending ain't great either at the moment. So
I hope it is. Need some goals from Salah. In terms of the other top 4, and you can also talk about the bottom. In terms of West Ham, Newcastle 1-1 draw. Great performance from Newcastle again.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham were the better team until they scored, and then they sat off.
Yeah.
And the reaction from Newcastle was excellent. And yeah, they got back into the game. And then they kind of showed in it that they got a lot of character in their team now. You know, to go away from home and come back after, you know, West Ham were kind of dominating, and they had quite a couple of chances. But as soon as they took the lead, they tried playing tactical, sitting off. And Newcastle just, you know, dominated. I thought, yeah, Willock was the standout player. They played really good. You know,
finding his confidence.
Improvised finish.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was a really good finish. That was a tough chance to snuck out. It just shows the spirit of that team right now. They're fighting in. That's the ball he hunted and went for and stuck a leg at it. He didn't give up on the play. But how many times do you see players giving up on those plays?
Yeah. Him and Joe Linton really like drive that team forward. I mean, the amount of time they carried Newcastle out of trouble and not taking 2-3 men, taking the pressure off, and missing their biggest player, said Maximilian. So credit to them.
And yeah, not just that. I mean, you're saying they're missing their biggest, to say Maximilian, but they're missing their 2 biggest players because Trippier
as well. Yeah, no, I said yeah.
So that's a good result for Newcastle. I think that shows a lot.
Do you reckon it's a big problem, the fact that Trippier's out probably until near the end of the season?
Well, Kraft played well. I was surprised because every time I've seen Kraft, I mean, I've never rated him, but he was quite good. He's quite physical. He done one really dirty elbow physical challenge on Antonio that made me just stood up and like, whoa, is this Kraft? You know, this guy goes disappear when it comes to defending. But yeah, so I think you have to give credit. The whole spirit of the club has changed. And they're a battling team, you know.
They're unbeaten in 5, 1-3.
And they showed lots of character to come back in this game. So I think Eddie Howe needs to take a little credit. And yeah, some of the players that were struggling, they're looking better. It just shows how much confidence makes a huge difference. You know, this how these players who I had written off, I thought they're just not Premier League class, are looking quite decent now.
If you look at like they signed Bruno Guimaraes for 40 million and can't even get a kick in the midfield. Yeah. It's just
and because every every game is quite nervous. You can see Eddie has like reluctant to bring him on until injury time. They get every time because that
big game next though. Big game next. Brentford. Potentially they can go ahead of Brentford as well. Almost like
Brentford are struggling. They're a bit like Leeds in the sense that so much of their attacking play revolves around Tony.
Yeah,
and then when Tony isn't there, they just don't look the same in there.
They haven't won in 8 games. They haven't won in 8 games. There was a draw in there, but haven't won in 8 games.
Yeah.
Right in trouble. In terms of the other team, I mean Everton. 2-0 lost. It seems like away is a problem. As soon as they go away again with Lampard, it seems like a problem.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have they just started the first 5 minutes with a bit of purpose, and then once Southampton built up a head of steam. I mean, because they're trying to play out from the back, and this Southampton team is just mega in the way it presses, man. It complete they just suffocate you, and they kept winning the ball back. They kept beating the Everton players to the first ball on the touch, and this Southampton team is really well drilled at the moment. And
confidence.
I mean, 2-0 flattered Everton. I mean, that's how dominant Southampton were in that game. And Lampard was rightly quite critical.
He was
basically saying the players need 40,000 Everton fans to turn up and perform.
So he said they didn't do anything he asked them to do. So I mean, clearly it's very annoying.
I just think he's trying to get them to play more football. And when you're doing that, when you're getting a team to change their style so drastically, you're going to have teething problems. And against a team that presses and counter presses the way Southampton do, it was perfect recipe for Southampton. A team trying to improve and build up from the back, but not quite good at it yet. Not quite confident enough at it. And they just got completely dominated.
They got issue as well, because obviously they're right in that relegation battle as well.
No, but I don't think there's any issues, because at home they're so formidable.
Oh yeah.
And they'll get goals, and that family. So I'm not really worried about Everton at all.
Watford 1-0 away. Aston Villa,
again,
what a performance from them.
Yeah. That second half they dominated the game.
Seems like they proved us wrong. We got them off.
I mean, Aston Villa started, in the first half, Aston Villa started well. But again, if you look at every chance they create, everything is, outside of the box. I thought Watford done really well to try to cut out the space to Coutinho, who was the only real creative spark, which is strange because they have a lot of other good players. But this is the second game in.
Do you think that's what he's trying to do? Do you think he's trying to focus and play through Coutinho?
Yeah, because he's playing in that 10 position, and they're trying to get the ball into him, looking to get the ball into him quite a bit. But this is the second game in a row with Steven Gerrard. Tactically, you have to question him soon. After he made his changes, the team actually performed a lot worse, and Watford ended up completely dominating the second half. Especially after they scored, they completely just had chance after chance after chance, and that's another game where I would say 1-0 flattered Aston Villa. Watford really should have scored a couple more goals. They created so many good opportunities in that second half, and Gerrard is struggling to fit all the pieces in. He's got so many good pieces in the attacking side of things. He can't get the balance right. He went and brought Watkins on early, went to, two up top, continuing behind, and it didn't work. They played terrible after that. They had no balance. They lost shape, and he's just moving players about too much and systems about too much.
Is he trying to keep players happy or something? That's what he feels like.
I don't think he's doing it to keep players happy. He's doing it because the results aren't there. It's because they're losing in games. But you would still expect. It's not about putting every single ingredient and expecting something tasty at the end of it. It's about replace the right ingredient with a better one or right for that match.
Are you trying to talk about Boris Johnson now, I think?
I'm not sure, but the decision making and tactical side of Steven Gerrard is definitely like Boris Johnson at the moment. It doesn't have a clue. And literally the last 2 games, it's been like that. Every change he's made has made the team worse, made the team lose momentum more.
In terms of other teams, I mean, Burnley 3-0 away win at Brighton. Weghorst.
I mean,
we said, he needs to score 10. There is 1 and an assist.
Let's have fun with a bit of exaggerate, If Weghorst was wearing the Spurs top, you wouldn't know the difference. The way he played. No, let's be honest. What surprised, I think, Brighton the most in that game was Weghorst was playing it like a false 10. That false 9 role.
Yeah.
He was not that big lump they're trying to play the ball direct into and get knock-ons from. He was playing it like a playmaker. He's dropping off the defenders and picking it up deep. And the Brighton defense just never adjusted. They were so scared of the long ball. It's like so they just kept giving him the space to pick the ball up.
Yeah.
And obviously, Brighton minus Webster, minus Dunk, and obviously they sold Burns, so looks like they might have left themselves short.
Who is this back up in?
Duffy Veltman, it didn't quite work. They both sat off, and they really let Weghorst dominate the game, and allowed Burnley to kind of play off the territory that Weghorst was giving them, and really Burnley played really well.
Do you think they were forced into going 4 at the back, obviously because of the injuries, and change the usual system, and that's what's cost them?
Well, it depends on how long those players are out. But Brighton are a good team anyway, so it's just surprising. Again, a terrible week for the mid-table teams. They all got dominated. It's another game where, you would say, that 3-0 scoreline didn't flatter Burnley. They were that dominant.
Yeah.
It's such a one-sided game. I can't remember Brighton even creating many chances. I think a couple of long-range shots from Moda that were wild. It's not like the Burnley keeper had much to do.
Yeah,
he didn't have many saves. So quite a comfortable win at the end. And I think Burnley did it without Tarkowski as well.
Yeah,
so very impressive.
It gives them a great platform to build on. I mean, they had a draw against United recently. Now obviously this 3-0 away win.
Well, we've said it all season
two games in,
that they haven't actually played terrible at any point this season.
Yeah,
nearly in every game they've been in it, and it's been minor details that's cost them the game. So it doesn't feel like Burnley has been on a bad form or bad performance all season. Yeah. And you have to commend Dyche for that, because at the end of the day, it's so easy for them to feel the pressure of the situation. But it's never so. That's good in terms of, like you said, the excitement for the league, because Burnley ain't gonna go away. Burnley are still gonna perform, and they're still gonna play well. And Weghorst looks like a find, which we said anyway. Anyone who's seen him play in the German league for Holland, he's a very good player, technically good player. So, and he showed that.
Do you think most teams are surprised in terms of his technical ability as well? He's not just a big guy up top, knocks it ahead.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, innit? You have to
catch them out,
do your proper scouting and not get fooled by his size. He's actually very, very good at scoring goals from open play, and yeah, it's good.
Exciting.
Good player, good signing.
That whole kind of like from 14 down, it's so tight.
Well, it's so the bottom half is closing.
Yeah.
And the top half is, and the top six are starting to get away. Like I'm saying, you're looking at all the teams. If they win their games in hand, then West Ham will be quite a bit away from the top six.
Yeah.
So it feels like the top half is moving away.
The top eight is just like
everyone else is, and everyone else is starting to close in.
Is it worry for Leicester? I mean, another loss.
Yeah, I mean, it was so frustrating watching their game today. It was so frustrating because, and at the end, Brentford is going on about 65% possession. It's ridiculous because all they did, and they're tactically fine, is clever how they got back into the game, which was after they moved everyone out wide basically, so they're exposing Wolves' 5-3-2 system, because obviously they've not got enough protection out wide. So what happened was you got Pereira, you've got Brighton, and then you got Tielemans going there. So they're just completely dominating that area because of Wolves' formation. But guess what? You can play, as much triangles as you want out wide. If you don't have anyone in the box, you're still not going to score. And if you don't put the ball in the box, you're not going to create anything. So for all their play, they had nothing, no idea of what they're doing with it, other than when they scored their goal, which was unbelievable play from Tielemans. I mean, the assist for that is one of the best assists you'll see. There's so much intricacy in what Tielemans did. There's so much to appreciate about Tielemans did, because when he receives the ball from Brighton, he's already 3-4 steps ahead of everyone. He's already decided that he's going to play in.
Tielemans played it to Brighton, or Brighton played it across to what's his name?
Yeah. Okay, when Tielemans gets the ball, you got the picture, I think. Yeah.
Just try to correct the ball.
You go with your magnifying glass and find out who did what. Yeah, but I'm only interested in what Tielemans does, because that's magic. That is absolute magic. He takes the touch with his left foot, but he straightens up and he looks the other way. So he straight away makes the defense take a step off, thinking the ball's coming in the box, and then he takes a touch out, creates the angle to pass around the man who is blocking the channel to play the ball. It's just beautiful. Even the pass was beautiful. He spins, he puts enough lift in it so that when it hits the ground, it dies out. So and when you do that, when you put a slight lift on the ball with a bit of backspin, you can really hit it fast, because it's going to suddenly die out. And it's just a perfect ball. I mean, that whole goal was made by Tielemans, and just shows what, he really is deserving of playing for one of the big teams, in my opinion.
He's really kind of been the man that's carrying Leicester this year. That's what it feels like. I mean, when he's not playing, that side just looks...
Well, him and Maddison, but Maddison, again, inconsistent now, back out of the team, didn't start today, It's a bit of a story there, So... Yeah.
Weird one. Weird
You
one.
you check with your magnifying glass.
Not. I'm just trying to correct you in saying pre-assist. That's all, because you said assist. Trying to help you, give you a helping hand, I do. One thing we missed out: Chelsea 1-0 away with Palace. Typical.
Yeah, that was a tough game, tight game. Both teams had a real go.
Seemed like Kovacic came on and just changed the whole game.
Sorry,
Kovacic came on and changed the whole game.
I mean, he had impact, but I wouldn't say changed the whole game because Palace still kept going for it. Palace were good. They had chances. Zaha was a threat the whole time. Schlapp had chances. I just felt, yeah, man, that was a good game. That was a really good game, end to end. Crystal Palace, didn't let Chelsea run away with it, and Chelsea were getting a bit desperate, to say the truth. But I was surprised at how much Crystal Palace continued to press and kind of leave gaps for so they were clearly going for the win, and it cost them at the end.
Were you surprised with the fact that they obviously didn't start with they started with the Zaha up front instead of they had Odsonne, Matata, and Benteke on the bench?
It worked. The fact that because Zaha was a threat the whole game, they really struggled to contain, and he kept feeding into that side and really asking questions of the right-sided centre back, Cameron Hughes. So then it was causing problems for Thiago Silva the whole time. So the tactic was working, and he had quite a few good chances. Even right at the end of the game, he had a real good chance. So I was just surprised that at no point did Crystal Palace really look to leave it at 0-0. Even after a goal disallowed, they were still bombing forward. They weren't really, coming back and defend it. They were going for the win, and a bit of naivety there, really, from Crystal Palace. But that shows you that how.
Do you reckon? You can look at that other way in terms of saying that, oh, you know what, that's really brave of them, and trying to change their mentality.
Yeah, but they lost 1-0 at the end, innit? So
they come off one time, you won't the next time, innit?
Excellent finish from
Ziyech.
From Ziyech. I mean, such a classy finish, so hard. From the right hand side to get a side foot volley like that in. Over the defense.
He's classy, isn't he?
Going inside out to kick to volley that. Oh, what a finish!
Two beautiful goals, man. 2 beautiful goals. It's just like boom.
And a big win for Chelsea. Chelsea really needed that, because that kind of protects them in third place. Because if they had lost that,
they're right.
They're in a real battle, because let's say Spurs and Arsenal win their 2 games in hand. Well, they're both going to be, I think, above, or one will be level on points with Chelsea. And Chelsea's in a real battle for 4th place. So that win was actually huge in terms of keeping that buffer for them.
There still seems to be an issue with, I don't know, Lukaku and Chelsea. It just seems like never dying down.
Well, the issue is that, to get the best out of Lukaku, you got to get the ball into him early. You got to play slightly more direct, because he'll dominate his man.
He had the least touches in a game or something, 7.
But the thing is, I do feel sorry for him, because earlier on in the season, I was critical of Lukaku's performance, because he was just playing back towards goal. Never really looked to run in behind, just basically playing like a statue on the pitch, barely moving. So at that moment, it's on Lukaku. But now when you're seeing it, it's the players aren't giving him the ball. I mean, loads of times he's isolated the centre back one-on-one, and they got too many guys who got that syndrome of wanting to cut in and ping a ball out wide. Understand the matchup. Give the ball to Lukaku and let him do his damage. I can't remember the game where he just literally, bullied the defender and just
Arsenal.
Yeah,
You can say Arsenal.
and it's like you see that. Why aren't you giving him those? There's so many opportunities in the game where he's isolated the centre back, and you just know they don't want to be facing it. If you look at even for the disallowed goal, the one time they play in behind, caused havoc. So I think part of the problem is the Chelsea team have not adapted to him, aren't playing to his strengths. And they seem to think his only strength is get the ball out wide, cross it back. He's actually very good at one-on-one situations.
Well, we've seen it with so many actions, isn't it? As soon as he's got that defender on him, it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
And it's just not used. But another fantastic week of Premier League, isn't it? I mean, so many good games to watch. Crazy.
Yeah, and today, all of them, this was the game week where nearly every game had a story, because some of them were so surprising, especially how, a lot of the stronger mid-table teams that we thought might be looking at potentially making a run for Europe and that just completely faltered to this week.
Yeah.
And like I said, a bad week for the mid-table teams.
Good for everyone else.
Yeah. So made the league more exciting.
Got a couple of big games coming up throughout the week. Midweek as well, isn't it? Yeah. Leeds Liverpool game is going to be really good. Looking forward to that one.
Which one? Leeds Arsenal.
Leeds
Liverpool.
Leeds Liverpool.
Yeah, that's gonna be high scoring. I have a feeling.
I'm going to the Arsenal one, so hopefully we get a win. Hopefully.
I guess Wolves. That should be a good tactical game.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that could be a boring game.
Oh, man.
I have a feeling, but let's
don't
see.
Dampen my mood, man. Don't dampen my mood.
I just got a feeling both teams kind of like to play a bit safe and tactical.
Imagine it's a rainy, windy day and it's a nil. Oh man, that kill me. Hope not. Hope you're wrong, Adil. But thank you for coming on. For those of you watching, thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe. It really does help us. It pushes the video out to more people. So please make sure you give us a like. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. And see you soon.